Golf Pick'em Expert Picks. Brought to you by FootJoy.
It has been 13 months, but we finally have a major championship to talk about in Golf Pick'em in the NBC Sports Predictor app. I'm Will Gray, joined by Nick Menta. Nick, we're breaking down the PGA Championship at TPC Harding Park, and we're starting with a big matchup. Reigning Masters champion Tiger Woods, two-time PGA champion Rory McIlroy. Who gets your vote in San Francisco?
Yeah, McIlroy was a non-factor in Memphis last week, and he arrives at Harding Park pretty much as under the radar as someone with his pedigree, his status possibly can. He's been very quiet since that top 5 streak came to an end. But he's won on this golf course before, Will, and he's thrived on PGA Championship setups in the past. As for Tiger, I see him maybe grinding his way to a made cut late Friday, having a scrappy weekend that gets to T25, but I just see McIlroy's ceiling as being higher than that. So I'll take Rory.
Well, very specific on the Tiger prognostication. I like that.
I've been there before, Will.
I tend to agree with you. I think that the cooler weather in San Francisco might not help a guy who has made only one competitive start in the last 5 months or so, and that at the Memorial was not especially stirring. Rory surprisingly does not have a top 10 since we returned from the break, but I think that he could get it this week, and I agree with you. The ceiling is higher for McIlroy. That's the way to go in this matchup. It's the people's matchup, maybe not the one we're going to get on the tee sheet, but we're going to get it this week in Pick'em. Brooks Koepka against Bryson DeChambeau. They've jabbed on Twitter. Nick, who has the better week at the PGA?
I do not understand how Brooks Koepka's competitive switch exists or how it works, but it seems like something worth banking on at this point. After a year of injury and less than competitive golf, he showed up last week in Memphis at a WGC the week before a major and nearly defended his title. He's defending again this week, and I expect him to roll into Harding Park and be right there on Sunday looking to win his 3rd consecutive Wanamaker. I didn't even consider Bryson. That's how overwhelmed I was by Brooks' performance this weekend. I think he's going to get it done.
Wow, that's a bold prediction. That's a little bit of form in Memphis goes a long way, but I'm with you. I think this boils down to a very simple point. Take the guy who dominates in majors, who has won 4 majors over the last 3 years, versus a guy who has never finished better than T15 in a major. Bryson does well in other events, haven't seen it on the major stage. I'm taking the safe bet. I'm taking Koepka. All right, Nick, a matchup of the new world #1 and the guy that he just unseated at the top, Justin Thomas and Jon Rahm. Which way are you leaning?
And Thomas more than deserves that #1 ranking. He's won 4 times in the last year, and he's let 2 other events he probably should have finished off get away from him. He continues to put himself in position. He knows how to close. He's won a PGA before. And no disrespect to Jon Rahm, but I would not be surprised if Justin Thomas pulled off that same WGC PGA double dip that Rory McIlroy did 5 years ago. JT is the best player in the world right now, and I expect him to contend this week.
Yeah, Jon Rahm is playing well. He's going to get a major at some point, but I'm with you. I've got Justin Thomas as my top seed. I would take him in a matchup over anyone this week. He's leading the tour in strokes gained approach, strokes gained total, strokes gained tee to green. Love the stat line, love his form, love his history at this event. I think JT wins. Nick, we're talking PGA Championship, but this matchup is between 2 former U.S. Open winners, Webb Simpson and Dustin Johnson. Which way are you leaning?
DJ managed to bounce back last weekend from whatever was going on with him at Muirfield and 3M, tying for 12th in Memphis. I know his recent track record isn't great, but I'm choosing to lean on his major experience. Dustin Johnson has 17 top 10s in his major career. 5 of those have come in a PGA Championship. And I know Webb is having a career season and that he and DJ have the same number of major titles, but that's where their major resumes, stop looking similar. I'm going to take Dustin Johnson.
I think I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to take Webb, who is 7th on tour this year in strokes gained approach. The iron play is going to be key this week. Dustin Johnson outside the top 100 in both approach and putting. That is a very troubling trend. I'm not sure that 1 week from him is the same as 1 week from Brooks Koepka last week in Memphis. I still have a lot of questions, and moreover, I don't know that I can trust him without the beard. That's going to be a big key for me. That's why I'm going to go with Webb Simpson. It's a matchup of 2 of the more popular players on tour who until last week were both outside the top 50 in the world rankings. Phil Mickelson, Jordan Spieth. Nick, do you think either one of them catches a spark this week at Harding Park?
I know Phil tied for 2nd last week at Memphis, but I attribute that much more to his level of comfort on that course than anything that we should expect to see from him this week at Harding Park. Phil just hasn't been a contender in major championships for the last 3 years, especially at the PGA, where his best finish over that stretch is a T71. Jordan, on the other hand, even though he's mired in that 3-year slump, he still pops up on major leaderboards. Best evidence of that is his performance at this event at Bethpage last year. I'm not saying that Jordan caps off the career Grand Slam this week, but I do like his ability to contend at least more than Phil's.
All fair points that I'm going to disagree with. The finish at Bethpage last year that you mentioned, a tie for third, that is still Jordan Spieth's most recent top 5 finish anywhere. More than a year without a top 5. At least Phil is working his way into contention, has now made 4 straight cuts. He's showing a little bit of promise and seems to be playing better after the break than he was in the early part of 2020. I'm going to lean with a little bit of the hot hand. I still have a lot of questions about Jordan Spieth. Give me lefty. Who's going to have the better week this week at Harding Park, Nick? Jason Day or Rickie Fowler?
Will, do you know what Jason Day is doing right now?
I do not.
He's trending, Will. His last 3 starts, the 2015 PGA champion has gone T7, T4, T6. I know this is free to play, but if anybody's interested in doing something less than free, I really like Day this week. And when you contrast that with Fowler's final round in Memphis, this was a no-brainer for me. Watch out for Jason Day at Harding Park. You heard it here first.
Wow, there you go. Bold play. I agree with you, though. I think Rickie Fowler's Sunday struggles didn't get as much attention as maybe they should have. 3 straight top 10s from Jason Day. Even after the coaching switch, he's moving away from Cole Swatton. The momentum is building, and I'm with you. I think that he could have a big week in San Francisco. Nick, a matchup of 2 reigning major champions, Gary Woodland, U.S. Open winner, and Shane Lowry, winner at the Open. Who's going to have a better week at the PGA?
Yeah, Woodland's been the more consistent performer in 2020, and he's shown form on this golf course before, reaching the finals of the 2015 match play before losing to Rory McIlroy. If you compare their results in 2020, Lowry has been more boom and bust, and probably more bust than boom, whereas Woodland has just 2 missed cuts, and he's picked up 4 top 10s. He's the more steady player. I'll take him this week.
I think that he's been a little bit steadier, but I wouldn't call Woodland steady. And I do agree that while Lowry has been boom and bust, he was boom last week, T6 in Memphis, a bogey-free 67, 4 straight rounds in the 60s. I really like that. And when you look at just the aesthetic of TPC Harding Park, and you look at some of the courses where Shane Lowry has played well and won, you think of Firestone, you think of PGA National, Oakmont, Torrey Pines. This really fits the mold as a course where Shane Lowry's game is going to shine, where he could really play well. I will take Shane Lowry. All right, so those are our picks for the 7 head-to-head matchups for this week's PGA Championship. And Nick, as you know, in Golf Pick'em, you need to get a tournament winner along with a winning score. So give me your winner. Who's going to be the first major champion of 2020?
Will, in some deeply unoriginal, uninspired analysis, I believe for the 2nd week in a row, we're going to see a battle down the stretch between Brooks Koepka and Justin Thomas. And I am taking the big game hunter, Brooks Koepka, to win his 3rd straight Wanamaker. Walter Hagen, you are officially on notice. Will, who you got?
There you go. I'm not sure that I can go with a Walter Hagen nugget there as you did, but that would be impressive if he pulls it off. I'm going back to the well, but it's a different well. 2nd straight week, I am picking Xander Schauffele. I thought he was going to have a big week last week in Memphis. The ball striking was not up to his standards. He still finished tied for 6th. He's 6th on tour in strokes gained tee to green. He's inside the top 10 in total strokes gained. This totally fits to me like a potential breakout for Xander Schauffele, who has played so well in majors recently over the last couple of years. He's been a runner-up at the Masters. He's played well at the U.S. Open. I think this week he gets it done, gets major number 1 at TPC Harding Park. So those are our thoughts. Remember, go onto the NBC Sports Predictor app, go into Golf Pick'em, make your selections for the head-to-head matchups, pick a tournament winner and a winning score. You could win $1,000 in guaranteed prizes each week, $50,000 up for grabs if you put together a perfect score. For Nick Menta, I'm Will Gray. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Golf Pick'em Expert Picks, brought to you by FootJoy.